You tell yourself it won't happen again. You set the rule, you mean it this time, and then it does. The cycle repeats, not because you're weak, but because you're trying to fight a system you don't understand. Let's talk about what actually happens. You're lying in bed, or you're bored, or stressed, or lonely, and the urge shows up. Not as a thought at first, just a pull, a craving with no name. You try to ignore it. You try to distract yourself, but it grows louder. And here's the part that hurts the most. You know what's about to happen. You can see it coming, but you can't seem to stop it. Afterward, there's shame, or emptiness, or both. You promise yourself, never again. But the brain doesn't care about promises. It cares about patterns. And right now, you're stuck in one. Here's the truth that no one tells you. You are not morally failing. You are neurologically hijacked. Lust isn't a character flaw. It's a dopamine-driven feedback loop that evolved long before you had the prefrontal cortex to question it. Your ancestors didn't need self-control. They needed survival. And sex was survival. So the brain learned to reward the anticipation of sex with one of the most potent neurochemical cocktails available, dopamine. Not just pleasure, motivation, the promise of reward. And here's the problem. Your brain can't tell the difference between the real thing and the simulation. It just knows this behavior equals dopamine hit. And dopamine says, do it again. So you do. Not because you're broken, but because the system is working exactly as designed. Let's go deeper. There are 3 systems at play here. Think of them as 3 different voices in your head. The first voice is the limbic system. This is your ancient brain. It doesn't think, it feels. Hunger, fear, desire. It operates on a simple equation. Is this good for survival? Yes? Do it now. The limbic system doesn't care about your goals. It cares about right now. And when arousal floods the system, it screams loudly. The second voice is the prefrontal cortex. This is your rational brain, the one that sets goals, plans for the future, understands consequences. It's the voice that says, this isn't who I want to be. But here's the cruel part. The prefrontal cortex is slow, and it runs on energy. When you're tired, stressed, or emotionally drained, it goes offline. That's why you relapse at night. That's why willpower fails when you're anxious. Your rational brain is too exhausted to fight. The third voice is the habit loop. This is the automation system. Psychologist Wendy Wood calls it the second self. It's the part of you that brushes your teeth without thinking, that drives the same route home every day, that reaches for your phone the moment you're bored. Habits don't require motivation. They require a cue, a routine, and a reward. And once a habit is encoded, it runs on autopilot. You don't choose it, you fall into it. So when you try to just stop, you're asking your prefrontal cortex to overpower both the limbic system and the habit loop at the same time, while exhausted. It's not a fair fight. So how do you actually change this? Not with willpower, with architecture. You redesign the environment so the brain has no choice but to behave differently. Here are the 5 principles. Lust doesn't appear randomly. It has a trigger. And most people get this wrong. They think the trigger is seeing something. But the neuroscience research shows the real cue is usually an emotional state. Boredom, loneliness, stress, shame. The urge isn't about sex, it's about escape. Your brain has learned, when I feel this way, this behavior makes it stop. So step 1 is simple. Track it. For 1 week, every time the urge shows up, write down, what time is it? Where are you? What were you feeling 10 minutes before? You're not trying to stop yet. You're just collecting data, because you can't hack a system you don't understand. Willpower is weakest in the moment of temptation, so you have to decide before the urge shows up. Behavioral economist Dan Ariely calls this Ulysses contracts. Ulysses tied himself to the mast before hearing the sirens because he knew he couldn't resist in the moment. You do the same. Delete the apps. Use website blockers. Put your phone in another room at night, not because you can't access it, but because you've added friction. And friction gives your prefrontal cortex time to wake up. Even 5 seconds of delay can break the automaticity. The brain hates a vacuum. If you take away the habit but don't replace it, the craving just intensifies. Neuroscientist Judson Brewer studied addiction for decades. His finding? You can't suppress craving. You can only redirect it. So when the urge comes, don't fight it. Redirect it. Go for a walk. Do push-ups. Text a friend. Not as a distraction, as a new routine attached to the same cue. Your brain learns, when I feel lonely, I move my body. Not, when I feel lonely, I white-knuckle through it. One creates a new pathway. The other just strengthens the old one. Here's what most people miss. Chronic lust isn't about too much desire. It's about too little satisfaction. When your dopamine baseline is low, the brain becomes hypersensitive to quick hits. You start chasing intensity because nothing else feels good. So you have to raise the floor. Sleep 7 to 8 hours. Move your body daily. Spend time in sunlight. Reduce sugar and processed food. Limit dopamine-spiking behaviors, social media, video games, junk content. This isn't morality. This is neurochemistry. A regulated nervous system doesn't crave escape as intensely. This is the hardest one and the most powerful. When the urge comes, don't resist it. Don't obey it. Just watch it. Psychologist Marsha Linehan calls this urge surfing. You notice the sensation, you name it, there's the craving, and you let it exist without acting on it. Here's what happens. The urge peaks, then it fades, usually in 10 to 15 minutes because it's just a neurochemical wave, and waves always pass. The more you practice this, the more you realize you are not the urge. You are the one watching the urge, and that changes everything. Let's bring it all together. Think of your mind like a city at night. The limbic system is the alarm. The prefrontal cortex is the response team. The habit loop is the infrastructure, the roads, the routes, the patterns. When the alarm goes off, if the roads all lead to the same place, that's where you'll go, even if you don't want to. So you don't fight the alarm, you rebuild the roads, you change the cues, you add friction, you create new routes, you strengthen the response team with rest and regulation. And over time, the city reorganizes itself, not through force, through design. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are a nervous system trying to survive in a world it wasn't built for. And the beautiful thing about nervous systems is that they can learn, they can adapt, they can change. Not at all at once, but step by step, pattern by pattern. You've already taken the first one. You're here. You're listening. You're curious. And that's enough. The rest will follow.